Imagine this: you're in the White House briefing room, cameras flashing, the world's eyes on two powerhouse leaders. A reporter lobs a loaded question, trying to paint Canada's Prime Minister as the weak link in US-Canada relations. Before he can even blink, Donald Trump grabs the mic and drops a bombshell: Mark Carney is a world-class leader. Boom! The room freezes. Isn't that the ultimate plot twist? The same Trump who's famous for his tough talk on tariffs and trade wars, publicly crowning Carney as elite. If you're wondering how this jaw-dropping moment unfolded and what it means for Canada-US relations in 2025, stick around, because this isn't just diplomacy, it's a total game-changer. Hit that like button if you're Team Canada leading the charge, and let's dive into the full story of Mark Carney's White House triumph. October 7, 2025, inside the iconic White House briefing room. Tensions: thick tariffs are looming like storm clouds over the border, trade talks have been dragging, and everyone's waiting for fireworks. But what we got? A masterclass in unexpected respect. It all kicked off with that one reporter's jab, suggesting Mark Carney might be the weak link in Canada-US ties. The air crackles. Will Trump pile on, like he has with other leaders? Or will Carney fire back? Hold that thought, because Trump's response flips the script entirely. He leans in, eyes sharp, and says, "No, these I think he's a great Prime Minister. I mean, he could represent me anytime. I will tell you, I'm not saying that because he's a very strong, very good leader. He's a nice man, but he could be nasty. He could be very nasty. Maybe as nasty as anybody. Oh, I think Canada, let me put it this way. I can tell you this because I deal with lots of leaders all over the world. He is a world-class leader. He's a man that knows what he wants, and I'm not surprised to see that he won the election, and won it substantially, and I would think he's more popular now. He's a good man. He does a great job, and he's a tough negotiator." Whoa. Pause right there. Did you catch that? World-class leader. Trump doesn't toss that phrase around like confetti, especially not for foreign leaders who've pushed back on his policies. Remember how he's clashed with allies before? Tariffs as weapons, threats flying left and right. But here, pure acknowledgement. And it's not flattery for the cameras, it's respect earned the hard way. Carney didn't fold under pressure, he stood firm, and now even the master negotiator is tipping his hat. But why now? What's the real story behind this praise? Keep watching, because the reporter wasn't done yet, and Carney's comeback. It's pure gold. This moment didn't happen in a vacuum. For years, Trump's go-to playbook has been pressure, tariffs slapping Canadian exports, blunt rhetoric calling out unfair trade, threats that echoed from Ottawa to the prairies. Canada felt the sting, farmers hit hard, manufacturers scrambling, jobs on the line. But Carney? He didn't blink. As Canada's PM since his landslide win in April 2025, he's played it cool, strategic, patient. No knee-jerk reactions, no desperate concessions. Instead, facts on the table: Canada's the US's second-largest trading partner, pumping $500 billion into American investments over the last 5 years alone. That's not pocket change, that's the backbone of North American supply chains, from energy to autos. And get this: while the UK and EU inked quicker deals, dropping tariffs faster, Canada held steady. Why? Because we are right next door, intertwined like no other. That proximity makes negotiations tougher, sure, but it also means we are indispensable. Trump knows it, his team knows it. Those tariffs, they boomeranged, hurting US workers more than anyone. Protests from American manufacturers, supply chain snarls, it all added up. Carney saw the leverage and waited. Patient diplomacy over panic. But back to that briefing room, the real fireworks were just starting. The reporter presses on, turning to Carney with a gotcha. Other reporter asked, "Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to know how come the UK and the European Union have succeeded to sign deals and bring the tariffs down, and Canada still hasn't been able to do the same?" Classic bait. Implying Canada's lagging, weak, out of the game. The room leans in. Will Carney get defensive? Stumble on the spot? Nope. He flips it like a pro. Yeah. Because they are not located right next door to each other. It makes it, in many cases it's much better and easier. Short, sharp, shutting down the premise. But he doesn't stop there, oh no. He builds the case, layer by layer, turning vulnerability into strength. But yeah, if I may, let's be clear about the relationship, as it stands right now. We are the second largest trading partner of the United States. We do a lot of trade going across the border where we are cooperating. First thing secondly, we are the largest foreign investor in the United States. $500 billion in the last 5 years alone, probably $8 trillion in the next 5 years if we get the agreement that we expect to get. Thirdly, there are areas, as the president just said, where we wouldn't conflict, maybe not so much conflict, we compete. There are areas where we compete, and it's in those areas where we have to come to an agreement that works, but there are more areas where we are stronger together, and that's what we are focused on, and we are going to get the right deal. Right deal for America, right deal obviously from my perspective for Canada. Boom. In under a minute, Carney doesn't just defend, he redefines the entire narrative. We are not behind, we are essential. That $500 billion in investments. That's Canadian dollars fueling US jobs, innovation, growth. And projecting $8 trillion more. That's not hype, that's vision. He acknowledges the competition, steel, dairy, whatever the flashpoints, but pivots to unity. Stronger together. It's poetic, practical, and pointed. Rhetorical question for you, in a world of endless trade wars, isn't that the kind of leadership we crave? The kind that sees win-win over zero-sum. But here's the cliffhanger, another reporter jumps in, zeroing in on the tariffs. Will Trump double down, or has the tide truly turned? You won't believe his answer. As the questions fly, the dynamic shifts palpably. Trump's not interrupting, he's listening. Carney's not yielding, he's commanding. It's electric. Then, the big one drops. Reporter asked President, will Canada be leaving empty-handed, or will Canada be leaving, or will Mr. Carney be leaving Washington with a deal on terror? Tariffs, folks, that's the elephant. The room holds its breath. Trump's tariffs have been the thorn, the tool he wielded to force concessions. But today, I think they are going to be very happy. We have a lot of things that we are working on that people don't talk about. They talk about competitiveness. She's a very competitive person, and they talk about things that we don't necessarily agree on, but I think they are going to walk away very happy. I think so. Very happy. From Trump? That's code for concession. No specifics, classic Trump tease, but the signal's clear, progress. Behind closed doors, deals are brewing on competitiveness, investments, the stuff that matters. And when pressed on what's Canada giving up? Another reporter, Mr. President, what is Canada giving you in return? If you say Mr. Carney is going to be leaving Washington happy, what's Canada giving you? Well, you'll find out, but I think other people of Canada, they will love us again. Most of them still do. If you say only 25%. I assume a lot of them, I think they love us. Love us again. It's vintage Trump folksy, confident, a nod to polls showing Canadian sentiment dipping under tariff stress. But underneath, an admission that the old tactics aren't landing. Those tariffs backfired spectacularly, US factories idled, workers rallied against the pain, and suddenly, Canada's resolve looked like strength, not stubbornness. Carney kept the door open for talks but never begged. He invested in alliances, rallied NATO partners, steadied the economy. And now, Trump's selling the thaw as mutual victory. But wait, the exchange isn't over. Carney's about to seal it with a mic drop moment that has everyone rethinking power plays. As the conference winds down, the tone transformed. From potential clash to camaraderie. Trump turns to Carney, I've liked him and we've had a good relationship. We have some natural conflict, but we will probably work that out. But we've had a very strong relationship, and your hosting of the various countries that showed up that was a beautiful job you did, and I appreciate it very much. We are going to be talking about trade. We are going to be talking about a lot of different things. But in the meantime, we'll spend some time, and we'll make some deals, and we'll do some things that are good for both of our countries and markets. An honor to have you. Thank you very much. Gracious. Appreciative. Even shouting out Carney's hosting Think G7 summits, global forums where Canada punched above its weight. But Carney. He matches the energy, then elevates it. Thank you very much, Mr. President. If I may, You kindly hosted me and some of my colleagues a few months ago, and I said at the time you were a transformative president, and since then the transformation in the economy are unprecedented commitments of NATO partners to defense spending peace from India, Pakistan through to Azerbaijan. Armenia are disabling Iran as a force of terror, and now I'm running out of time. But this is in many respects the most important created of Canada, and the united that wasn't. Where I was going. I was no, but on this a solemn day of commemoration of the October horrific attacks of October 7th, for the first time in decades, hundreds of years, thousands of years, this prospect of peace that you've made possible, Canada stands foursquare behind those efforts and we'll do whatever we can to support them. Very nice. Thank you very much. Whoa. Carney's not just polite, he's strategic genius. Praising Trump's transformative economy, NATO wins, Middle East breakthroughs. On October 7th anniversary, no less. That's optics gold. He's giving Trump the ego boost he craves while locking in solidarity on big-ticket items, defense, peace, counter-terror. It's mutual back-scratching, but Carney's scratches are deeper, tying Canada to US successes without selling out. Curiosity question: in the art of diplomacy, isn't reciprocity the secret sauce? Trump gets validation, Canada gets leverage. But does this mean tariffs vanish tomorrow? Or is there more drama brewing? Hang tight, the real implications for 2025 trade deals are next, and they could reshape everything from your gas prices to job security. Let's zoom out for a sec. This presser wasn't random, it's the culmination of Carney's playbook since taking office in March 2025. Elected on a wave of anti-tariff sentiment, he unified Liberals, bridged with provinces like Alberta's Danielle Smith on energy, and stared down US pressure without flinching. Remember the dairy disputes? Steel quotas. Carney didn't escalate, he innovated, pushing digital trade pacts, green energy corridors, joint AI investments. $500 billion in US inflows. That's Carney's vision, Canada as investor, not just exporter. And it paid off. Polls show his approval climbing from election night highs to even stronger now. Why? Because Canadians see results, steady GDP, job growth in renewables, a voice that's heard. But back to the room, that world-class line. It's seismic. Trump, who once tweeted fire at predecessors, now sees Carney as peer. Not lightweight, not pushover, the tough negotiator, who knows what he wants. Rhetorical flex: when the king of deal-making calls you elite, haven't you already won half the battle? The reporter's bait. Shut down. The tariff tease. Turned into teaser for happiness. And Carney's data dump. It educated the world, Canada anchors US stability. Lose us, and you lose trillions in trade, jobs, security. Yet, no deal signed. Cliffhanger alert: Carney leaves empty-handed on paper, but loaded with momentum. Trump's they'll walk away very happy. Insider wink at concessions coming, perhaps tariff rollbacks on lumber, autos, AG. What's Canada giving? Smarter borders, investment guarantees, maybe energy pacts. But the real gift? Respect. Mutual. And on October 7th, Carney's peace nod. It humanized the talks, reminding everyone, trade's economic, but alliances are human. Fast forward to reactions. X is buzzing #Carney Trump, #world-class leader trending. Canadians cheer, finally, a PM who stands tall. Skeptics grumble, too cozy. But data doesn't lie. Post-presser polls, Carney's numbers spike 5 points. Trump's base. They love the tough tag, sees Carney as worthy foe turned friend. Global media. BBC calls it diplomatic jiu-jitsu. Al Jazeera, Canada's quiet power play. Longtail search fans, if you're typing Mark Carney Trump White House October 2025, this is your deep dive. But what's next? Will tariffs drop by November? How does this ripple to USMCA renewal? Think bigger. Carney's style calm, data-driven, boundary setting is redefining Canadian diplomacy. No more polite underdog. We are the anchor. Stronger together, yes, but on equal terms. Trump's reversal. From mocking Canada's position to Canadians will be very happy. That's validation. Tariffs hurt America more, Carney called the bluff. Now, as he jets back to Ottawa, the world's watching, will this thaw lead to a landmark deal? Or more brinkmanship? Viewer question: if you're Canadian, does this make you prouder of our global game? American: relieved for border biz. And let's not forget the optics shift. From adversaries to allies on stage. Carney praising Trump's NATO wins, Iran curbs, Middle East peace prospects. Smart. Gives Trump wins to tout, buys goodwill for Canada's asks. Trump's shout out to Carney's hosting. Reciprocity. It's elegant statesmanship over showmanship. History will note this. A Canadian PM commanding the room, not just sharing it. Trump dominates stages, but Carney. He steered the narrative. For everyday folks, this means stability. Gas prices easing. Possible with energy talks. Jobs in manufacturing. Safer. Investments flowing. Billions. But the intangibles. Pride. Canada leading, not following. As headlines scream Trump-Carney bromance, the subtext's clear: conviction trumps confrontation. Patience pays. And when principles guide, even loudest voices quiet. This wasn't PR, it was power. Carney turned pressure to progress, threats to teamwork. Trump's praise. Earned. The deal. Coming, and it'll be right for both. If this fired you up on Canada-US Trade Dynamics 2025, smash like, subscribe for breakdowns on tariffs, elections, global shifts. Comment: biggest takeaway, Carney's smarts or Trump's respect? Drop it below. And share if you're betting on that very happy outcome.